And if you want to get in on the Smite Tactics beta, remember www.smitetactics.com. Sign up now. Follow Scott Gandhi as well. I'm sure he'll be blowing out a ton of information. But we're joined on the desk now by Ionic once again from yesterday. Let's talk. I kind of want to talk a little bit about that last set because it was so intense. What went wrong in game one for you guys?
I think the key was really us taking advantage of our early pressure gods of Bacchus, Thor, Agni, really a good combo that we didn't really take advantage of for the mid 3v3. Played a little bit too slow. Played it a little bit faster in game two, and I think we took advantage of those strengths.
Did Denial surprise you, though, with how good they were able to?
I think we were expecting Denial to be good. I just think that we should be better, and we should have been better in game one.
It definitely felt like Baskin was getting targeted a lot in that first game, but then you guys made that switch in the second game. Was he just not worried about the Neath ultimate too much that first game, or?
I just think there's not too much you can do to live if he's getting Nem ulted, Neath ulted. We just should have been able to be there in advance, able to counter gank if they'd have him that hard.
Well, we got two other teams up for you now. Enemy taking on EnVy. And let's talk a little bit about EnVy here. I mean, not really a strong performance in day one, but I think there was a bright spot. And that was overall, I think, Ocean's gameplay.
They definitely struggled as they lost to Soar and Denial in the first day, but they still have a lot of opportunity to come back doing their homework after the first day. Oceans was definitely doing a good job. I would say he was the star out of the first day, playing the Chronos a lot in the first set against Soar. But I want to see a little bit more coming out of him and CycloneSpin specifically. I want to see Skeeledon try to synergize with his side lane carries.
Do you think Oceans has been playing up to expectations here?
Definitely up to expectations. I think we can expect to see a little bit more out of him as he gets more comfortable on a LAN setting, and really looked for him to be making proactive plays.
And kind of this EnVy roster as a whole, kind of it really feels like they're not really doing anything. It feels like they're only reacting. Would you say that's the case?
I think that they're just still trying to find the right identity, right? They've went through so many changes before in the past, transitioning from Season 2 into 3, that they have to figure out what really works for them. We even see the different styles coming out of Kiki playing the Cupid mid every now and then.
And his opponent in lane today is going to be PandaCat. And PandaCat has been kind of notably known as Zatman 2.0. Very aggressive player, will take any 1v1 fight against you. And he had a phenomenal final game from yesterday, Ionic.
Yeah, he definitely did have a phenomenal final game yesterday. He had a very a sloppy start to yesterday, I would say. He's starting to pick it up and starting to look like Spring Split PandaCat.
Well, Spring Split PandaCat, one of the best hunters in North America here, and it's just some of the replays of him, just this ability for him to get in the back line and stay so safe.
He's just so confident in everything that he does, just his demeanor. We saw how confident he's like, yeah, that's me, that's right, I'm PandaCat right now. This is what I do in these games.
And PandaCat here, what do we expect from him today? What kind of god pool?
He's definitely a very aggressive laner. I would say, I'm not really sure because it looks like most teams have been favoring waiting to pick the hunter until the later stages. So those Jing, Rama, Souls, all expecting to be banned out. So unless they prioritize unless they put a higher priority on PandaCat's gods, we really can't expect to see those high priority picks. So maybe an Onher and a Shablanc like he was playing yesterday, but unless they prioritize the Jing for him, we're probably not going to see those high priority picks.
Well, we're into picks and bans now here. EnVy taking on Enemy. EnVy's style has been unique. You know, we haven't really seen that Aphrodite. We do know they like to play it. Do you think we're going to see a standard comp out of EnVy, or is this going to be some spicy style?
I think it's still going to be a little bit of spice. They're just going to adapt a little bit better to their opposition. They need to be sure to not allow any sort of comfort picks, and immediately taking Giannis away from Khaos is a great idea. Because they don't like Giannis themselves, right? They're going to go for more of this utility mid anyway, so they're leaving themselves a lot of options open.
Jan's definitely, Jan's definitely Chaos's best god, I would say.
And yeah, and we saw him, I think, hover it, or was debating playing it, I think, yesterday, but elected not to. Do you think this is them trying to adapt to a new meta, or just more Khaos doesn't feel like Giannis is going to bring what he needs to?
I think it's more so them preferring other picks. However, sometimes after you have a bad first day, you fall back to the comfort picks, which I think EnVy is targeting away here.
And yeah, PolarBearMike not going to have that Athena. You know, he was actually that was his best god, I think, last year, especially with Eager. And I feel like that's kind of followed him. We know how phenomenal of a player he is on that Athena, but we didn't really see him play up to, I think, his own expectations yesterday. A lot of times getting out of position, getting caught out, and honestly, one of the reasons I think EnVy really suffered.
Once he started to get caught out of position, he eventually made that transition to go into the Blink, the second relic, and that makes him a very scary Athena player whenever you have that secondary initiation. So now you have your dash to escape. So PBM making the necessary adjustments, and I'm pretty sure that he's expecting to get Athena banned from him the rest of the tournament, honestly.
It's possible. Shattered, his nemesis is going to be banned away by EnVy, and Skeeledon's not going to be able to play as Reditosker. Definitely one of his more comfortable picks, Ionic.
Yeah, I would say I'm not too sure what to expect from EnVy here because teams haven't really been prioritizing the Raw apart from us. So I'm really looking towards I'm not too sure.
You think
Looks
it's
like gonna yeah, I completely forgot about Terra. I just thought she'd be instantly banned.
You're like, wait, Terra's open? I'm really not used to seeing, even in scrims, isn't it the same thing? No one really wants to deal with that lane pressure.
No one really lets Terra through in general, I would say.
Erlang Shen highlighted by enemy here, and it could be that raw Erlang, but they are up against the Terra, and instead, insta-lock onto the Jing Wei.
It makes sense because you don't want to have Terra and Jing Wei in the same duo lane. There's just too much setup. You have the root, basically, the stun that can set up into the knockup. It's just too much disruption for enemy to handle. They're going to take that away. PandaCat really likes this god.
And I think Erlang Shen is a god that can flex onto anyone on enemy, basically. I believe, we know Marauder can play it. Shattered actually had a really good, interesting build as well.
An amazing game, actually, from Shattered. So, a funny backstory behind that Erlang Shen pick yesterday for them was the fact that they didn't even want the Ares pick that game against Denial, right? It was, I think, Khaos that had like about 4 seconds left to pick Pain's god, and he kind of panic-picked Ares at the last second. So then at that point, it was like, all right, well, whatever, just give me Erlang Shen and see what's going to happen.
Okay. Raw is picked up by EnVyUs, but they've grabbed an Izanami as well. Ionic, what are your opinions on Izanami?
I don't think I have one. I don't think we've really played too much with Izanami. Kind of decided that she wasn't really in the meta or a very good hunter pick in general. So I'm very interested to see what Oceans brings out here with Izanami.
Isn't that going to, I would imagine that, that's going to throw Panda off a little bit if he doesn't have that practice against her.
Yeah, definitely. Panda's definitely very comfortable on the Jing Wei though, so I wouldn't expect too much of a surprise factor. I definitely would still give the edge to PandaCat in this matchup.
Okay, this is actually crazy because, yes, the Ares was an accidental pick. And I was talking to Panda, he's like, yeah, we haven't practiced Ares at all in a long time, right? He used to play it. And after the success against Denial, he has now decided to bring it out here against EnVy.
Well, it worked the first time around. It's going to go for a second time. We'll see if it's going to be fortunate enough for them to find another win against EnVyUs here. But I'm really surprised, again, about this Izanami pick. Like, not only is it an Izanami pick, but it's before the secondary ban phase. Surely enemy wasn't going to ban it there.
It's possible, but, who knows? Maybe EnVy are trying to save and respond to whatever enemy's full on draft is. Again, they do have these next two pick or the final 2 picks there in that second phase of the draft. They will get countered by enemy's last pick, but maybe kind of wanting a better scope of what enemy's trying to run.
I think it is a case of EnVy just waiting to pick their jungler and their soul laner for counter picks, or looking to see enemy fill out the rest of their roster before they pick those 2 characters.
I don't think this Aphrodite's going to be locked in. I think it's a little bit of joking at Kiki, who loves to run it so much.
I think that it could actually be locked in. Khaos hasn't been known for this kind of a style. I wouldn't be surprised, though, because you have such an aggressive Ares coming out of the Guardian position, so you need to protect him a little bit better. So Khaos would definitely be able to keep him topped off every time he goes in.
Do you think this is a real pick, Ionic, or is this a troll?
I doubt it. I don't think I've ever seen Khaos play Aphrodite, but then again, we never saw Pain play Ares either, so you can't really tell.
Well, it was a troll. Don't worry, guys. Robin locked in there for enemy, so giving a lot of pressure to Marauder. And Marauder, I would say, definitely is the young one in this. We see the solo laners, Benji. We have your solo laner, Baskin, like really dominant. So even CycloneSpin from last year, like these are really dominant. And so I think giving Marauder something that he's going to be, have that early pressure and be comfortable on is a good idea.
But sometimes you could get to a point where you're too comfortable playing the Raven. Marauder is known to play aggressive. So sometimes he'll be at the tower line. And we saw in that last set at the first day where he was against Soar, and he was just getting punished for his over-aggressiveness.
It's possible here. EnVy, final 2 picks coming through. They have the Terra to set up the Raw here. Vamana being highlighted as well against the Robin, and the Naja. So they do have that wombo combo. I really think EnVy here looking for that pick style.
It's a good idea, especially against the Ares. If you can catch him before the no escape in the air, burst him down, take away the initiation from enemy, that could be EnVy's strat right there.
Enemy, final pick coming in. What are your expectations, Ionic? Where's
All the
KS going to
junglers-
go? I mean, it's Erlang Shen. I would imagine it's Erlang Shen in jungle at this point. I mean, obviously a flex. They need some magical damage. They only have Ares.
Raijin's still up, and it looks like it is going to be a Raijin.
Always
So,
safe.
Yeah, definitely a safe pick, and his 3 is definitely the best escapability in the game. Definitely really safe against the Naja and the Vamana, who are going to both be looking to dive on in this game.
Final thoughts on these team comps?
I would say enemy should look to go into a lot of anti-healing. I wouldn't be surprised to see Marauder pick up a weakening curse instead of a meditation second active because of all the healing on EnVyUs team.
Okay.
I'm expecting Shattered and Marauder here to camp CycloneSpin into Oblivion, and I think Enemy can run away with this one from early game.
Well, in Envy looking for their first game. Enemy trying to bounce back after a really rough day one. Once again, it's Hindu and Aggro to bring you the action.
Thanks so much, analysts. And obviously, when we look through this set, obviously, it looks like it's Sustain versus All-In.
Sustain versus All In, and also Izanami is on a team for, like, okay, look, we saw Ataraxia play it, and then we saw Pretty Prime play it kind of trolling, but this is the first real Izanami game for me. I mean, it was second picked here for Envy. Oceans must feel very, very comfortable on this god, must feel like he can make an impact. And you heard Ionic talk about it. I mean, this isn't a god that a lot of teams have played up against. They haven't really practiced up against it. So it could surprise Enemy here. I'm very interested to see how that matchup is going to go in the duo lane.
Same time, though, when we actually do look at this as an army pick as well, I love the Ares pick to actually deal with the situation of the duo lane here. Neither of them in the duo lane have an ultimate that is going to give them CC immunity in their kit either.
Exactly. The Cripple's going to be very effective up against both Izanami and Terra. And like you mentioned, neither ultimate is CC immune. And that's the big weakness for Izanami, is that dash. You hear players talk about it all the time. And it's, yeah, her clear is great. The boomerang auto attacks work really well. Her steroid is insane on the 1. The slow's really strong on the spectral projection. The ult's really good. It's like a mage ult. But man, that dash just doesn't feel good. It takes forever to go off.
It takes a wind up on the fadeaway, and on top of that, you can get chained, so you can't go through the action of doing it as well. So it does limit you there up against the Ares. And not just that, but an Erlang Shen as well, who has that pin, which does cripple if you hit it dead center.
Exactly. It's gonna be interesting to see how well Kiki can follow up off of the CC as a whole from NB. I love the Naja pick here. It's gonna set up Kiki very well, but the reason the Raw Erlang combo works so well is that Erlang doesn't have to put himself out of position or to set his mid laner up. Terra kind of does. It's really difficult to hit a long-range 2 stun out of nowhere. You kind of have to use the root dash combination. And if you're dashing in, if Kiki's not able to find the shots or, you know, they survive the initial burst, it's going to be the support PolarBearMike who's going to be in a tough spot right away. So we'll have to see how well those two work together.
But they do have the Naja as well. With those sashes, with that ultimate, that can set up for the Ra as well. So they've got a lot of actual decent ranged engagement as well in terms of CC potential. The walls from the Terra can dash. You may put her out of position, as you said, but then you've got Naja as well that could follow up off that to set up the Ra snipes.
But Sash is not long enough to use your 1 and ult combination on Ra. You need to have that ultimate. But a lot like Erlang Pin, you can combine that 1 ult combination to really burst down someone who's getting ulted by Naja. But that's what makes Erlang so strong, is that his CC is long range, easy to confirm, doesn't put him out of position, and it just locks him in place forever. I mean, it lasts long enough for Ra to use that combination. It's really only going to be Naja that's going to do that for Ra this game. We'll have to see how well Kiki and Skeeledon can work together, because there seemed to have been a little bit of a disconnect, not only there, but throughout Envy yesterday.
Very true, and on top of that, I'm looking really here towards Shattered in the jungle, playing this Erlang Shen. I think he's going to be spending a lot of time in the duo lane early on here. I would like to see some rotations there. Obviously, he's got Ravana in the solo lane, so Vamana's going to be pressured there a little bit in the early stages, whereas duo lane, a different story. Because it's Terra, because it's Izanami, their wave clear is going to be so strong that they are going to be pushed up.
Plus, Ra doesn't have a way out of that pin knock-up combination. It's going to be really easy for him to sit on top of KikiSoCheeky. So you're going to be able to really bully the mid laner out if Kiki's out of position. Or Shattered had a great game on this Erlang jungle yesterday. He went for this really attack speed heavy build. He was shredding people with the 1. So we'll have to see if he's able to do the same. Kiki, we saw the weakness of Ra as a character yesterday. I mean, it was Enemy who played it. We've seen a lot of success for Ra. He's able to sit in the back, disengage, heal his team up, and snipe you from a distance. He looks unbeatable, but if you can get into his face, if you can make him uncomfortable, it's really difficult for him to make an impact. And with characters like Erlang and Raijin, it should be fairly easy for Enemy to do that.
Well, at the start of this game, the relics you can see here, sprint and blink on the side of the two supports here, so you can see two contrasting styles. PolarBearMike is going to make people go very quick when Terra's Blessing's available if he pops the sprint at the same time. And then across the way, PainDeViande definitely going to be looking for a little bit more aggression with this as well, with the blink starting off.
I mean, we talk about it all the time. The Terra Vamana combination is really, really potent because it allows Vamana to catch up to the target that he's chasing in the big baby. But like you mentioned, it's going to be interesting to see how these two relics work up against each other. A lot of times you see Terra go for that shell because they do have that kind of ultimate sprint pop, whatever they really want it. But PolarBearMike doubling down on the movement speed.
So we'll see what he can do with that as well. He will help escape the chains more than anything else, I guess, is a big point, because it does slow you as well when you do get hit by those chains. Getting away from those will allow you to escape even further with the fadeaway, or just be able to dash away as long as they don't get reapplied.
That's true, but having shell whenever you get pulled in is going to mitigate a lot of that burst damage coming in off that Ares ultimate. I think I would have rather seen PolarBearMike go for the shell, but like you mentioned, being able to get away from the chain slow, I mean, a lot of slows overall on the side of enemy. You've got the Ravana slow as well, so they're going to try and use that effectively to disengage or engage. And like I mentioned, you're doubling down. I mean, yes, you have the ultimate, but a lot of times you'll see teams, okay, Terra ultimate down, they can't run away.
That's true.
But then you pop the sprint and you can run away. Or, Terra ultimate's down, they can't catch up to us, and then they catch up to you because PolarBearMike has the sprint.
A quick pause at the start of this game as well. You did see Shattered did start off with the Wrath in their jungle again on that Erlang Shen as well. It will allow him and Ravana to clear out those buffs a little bit quicker in the early stages, get them to lane a little bit earlier. Do you expect to see Shattered rotate straight after clearing the buffs, or would he go to the solo lane first to apply more pressure?
I think I'd like to see him rotate right after the buffs, we heard Ionic talk about whether or not it's going to be Marauder picking up a Weakening Curse as his second relic. I think I would have liked to see Shattered pick up Weakening right away. That's another reason that you see PolarBearMike go for that sprint, is to counter any potential Weakening Curses that enemy would pick up with the massive amount of sustain that Envy have on their side. I feel like an early curse for Shattered in the jungle could have led to some easy kills on the raw early game before PolarBearMike really is able to come over and make an impact in the mid lane.
It's a good point.
But PolarBearMike kind of sniffed it out, gets the sprint, and Shattered doesn't waste a relic slot, gets that Wrath, which is going to accelerate his early clear, as well as open up early Gold Furies that we know enemy love to do.
And we'll see if enemy can actually go for that as well. There's PolarBearMike on your screen getting ready for this game as well. Obviously playing the Terra this game. The Terra is Izanami lane, not a lane we've seen too often. We've not seen Izanami at all too often. And with Terra being banned so much, it's rare that you see her, but both in the same team, crazy.
Crazy, and a crazy amount of sustain between Terra and Raw. I mean, it's usually like you get one or the other, or one team gets one, the other team gets the other. This time it's Envy with both. So it's going to be, they have to be working together as a unit, and that's something that didn't look like they were doing very well in the first game yesterday, or their first few sets yesterday. Their cohesion as a unit probably wasn't where they wanted it to be. And when you're running a sustain comp like this, there has to be an overwhelming voice that says, okay, we're each poked, let's back up, let's use our sustain, and then we can go back in. There's got to be that voice that's coming in and telling you to back up and heal. And we're going to have to see if Skeeledon or PolarBearMike, those are the two predominant voices on that team, if they're able to do that.
I mean, yesterday it wasn't so clear on the comms when we listened in at all, so it needs to be cleaned up today. And a time when you really are down, you lost all games yesterday, didn't look good at all, then I guess you do pull out the pocket stretch. You bring out the Izanami early on. You don't mess around with it anymore, you just get on with it.
Exactly. There's no sense in holding any pocket picks now. You got to bring them out. You cannot afford to take another goose egg here on the first set of day 2. If Envy aren't able to find at least one win, they're basically all but done looking for that second seed.
Both of them need it. I mean, Envy and Enemy both need wins here. Very, very important for them in this very first set, especially after the performance between Denial and Saw. That actually helps them out a little bit, I want to say, because it says the pack is a little bit closer together still. They would have probably preferred Saw just to take it, though, just to make sure Denial were on their level.
Exactly. They would have really preferred Saw to take the 2-0, make sure Denial... No one, I don't think Envy, Enemy are really looking at Saw like we can catch them. They're really looking at Denial, that second spot. Is saying, let's just make sure we get to Super Regionals guaranteed. They don't want to go through the gauntlet. The gauntlet in North America is going to be very, very difficult. And so these teams, it's very important for them to secure that top 2 position. I think both Envy and Enemy have kind of assumed that Soar is going to be in there, whether it's 1 or 2, it doesn't really matter to them. They just need to make sure they're with them.
And we talk about the 1 and 2 there. Khaos having a bit of a sleepy time right now, trying to wake himself up before this game. He's obviously, I guess it's a bit early for him. He's not used to this. But all these teams involved, they have to take into account what happened in Group B over in North America as well. Eager are the #1 seed. LG the #2. If you're #1 in this group, you're facing off against LG. You're #2, you've got Eager to deal with.
It's really a pick your poison sort of scenario. But talking to the teams, I think as a whole, most would rather have the 1 seed. They'd rather go up against Luminosity because it's a little bit easier to prepare for Luminosity. No one thinks that's going to be an easy set for them whatsoever. Asking them about it, all the players say, yeah, I mean, both teams are really good. We don't want to have to play either one. But as far as our preparation goes, LG is a little bit more predictable in what they're going to play. You know that you're going to see Jingwei, Soul out of Barracuda. You're going to see Jingwei out of Xenotronics in the mid lane, Ratatoskr from Mast, Fafnir from Jeff Hinla, that kind of stuff. You kind of know what they're going to be going on. You're kind of getting yourself into. But up against Eager, it's like, what are we prepared for? I mean, we got to get ready for split push Bastet. We got to get ready for Raw sustain. We got to get ready for Best to play Giannis, Scylla, all these sorts of things. Plus, being in the early group really helps out Eager because it lets them develop even more strategies now.
That's true.
Knowing those guys on Eager, they're not sitting around, just, oh, we've got our strategies. We're going to be great for Super Regionals.
And the patches change too, right? The patches every single time, every 2 weeks, we have a patch that comes out that evolves the game in a different direction, sometimes for better or worse, and at the same time, these teams have to adapt, and Eager's one of the best at doing that.
Without a doubt. And EnVyUs, of course, with the Wrath in the solo lane, usually setting some sort of meta for the solo laners over there. We haven't seen a whole lot of Wrath first in Group D, but you can bet up against Eager, EnVyUs is kind of going to make you get that.
Now look at this game as well. I'm very excited to see Kiki on the Raw this game, because Kiki, for the most part, we always talk about him being a very supportive god in this mid lane. He looks to help out his team. And that's kind of the crossover where Raw hits, because he is the supportive god that helps out his team, but he's also a damage dealer as well, which is one thing I feel they did lack sometimes because Kiki was so focused on a supportive atmosphere. They didn't have that damage at the end.
I would definitely agree with that, and I like the Raw selection. It's just a matter of how comfortable will Kiki look on it. With Kiki's, god pool that gets a lot of talk, and deservedly so. It's not traditional by any stretch of the imagination. Is Raw in that god pool? We know Isis is in it. I kind of would have expected him to go more towards a traditional mage that also supports like an Isis. I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen him on that character quite yet this tournament. I mean, Isis looked really good in Group C. It's not like she's in a terrible spot in the meta right now. Surprised we haven't seen that from Kiki yet, but this Raw, if it works out, I mean, we see how strong this character can be when put in the right hands.
Oh, for sure. And the amount of sustain, we keep talking about that, is really a heavy sustain composition here. I almost think I can see Izanami going for Devour's Gauntlet just to add some sustain there as well, just in case.
Most Izanamis don't go for lifesteal because it's less efficient on her. With the 75-25 split on your auto attacks, you're not healing for nearly as much as most other hunters. And that was whenever Izanami started to get a little bit more popular in certain pro players' hands, that's when you started to see the builds for hunters really shift away from lifesteal as a whole. You don't go in on Izanami and then you're like, well, it feels really good to get all this damage online early. You can go boots, Iqbal, chins. You don't have any sustain, but you can swing really, really hard. So I'll be surprised if we see Oceans go for some lifesteal just because it is so inefficient as a whole on Izanami.
That's a good point. We'll see how this plays out between these two guys. Envy versus Enemy. They're still in a pause at the moment. It shouldn't take too much longer, I believe. So we'll see how this one plays out between them. Obviously, a lot of focus on the duo lane here. We've got the Izanami and the Terra versus the Ares and the Jingwei. PandaCat, back to what he played yesterday, and he had a great performance on it when he got off on it.
He looked really, really good. And listening, I was sitting in the arena back there listening to some comms. And I've been around a lot of pro teams. I've played on some teams. I've heard a lot of different styles of comms. I've never heard a player go, "I'm a bird, woo," as he's flying in with Jingwei. That's PandaCat. That's just how he is. And it worked. I mean, that was the only game they won yesterday, was when PandaCat was cosplaying as an airplane.
I just want to see him and EnVyUs on the same team and listen to the comms, because I remember the Bologna days when he was cosplaying.
Yep.
He was role-playing Bologna as he was playing too, so I think those two would work out pretty well together overall.
Pain, PandaCat, and EnVyUs all on the same team. Pain, the LARPer. PandaCat likes to roleplay as an airplane/bird as Jingwei. And then, of course, EnVyUs calling out all of Bologna's abilities by name.
Well, finally, back into game. Game set 2, I should say, of the day. Envy versus Enemy. Envy sat on 0 points right now. Enemy not that far ahead of him with how yesterday went.
Only 1 point for Enemy as of yesterday, and Envy definitely looked like the weakest of the teams yesterday, but we'll have to see how well they can adjust. That's such a big part of these LAN metas, is how well can teams adjust from day 1 to day 2 to day 3.
And when you look at the other teams that we saw in this, we saw Noble Esports, we saw Elevate. Those two teams really struggled in the groups too, but they did start to pick up pace as the weekend went on as well. We'll see if Envy can do the same here. And this man we're tuning in with right now, Oceans, a lot of pressure on his shoulders here. Everyone kind of expected him to be the superstar of this team. He's still learning though. He's still a rookie, but he's not really going to get much time to get used to it.
I'm just still so confused by the Izanami pick, where it was. I mean, the Izanami pick in general kind of surprised me overall, but why pick it second? There's no way that enemy's gonna pick or ban that. You know what I mean? Like, why pick it that early? Picking it that early tells me that EnVy really, really trust Oceans to go off this game.
Well, there's a couple of mistakes there, I want to say, just on that buff pull coming out from EnVy there. Cyclone and Skeeledon were not on the same page there. The ring toss came out after the minions were dead, so he got very little damage off of the ring toss, which slowed down their push even quicker. And we're talking about what Shattered would do. Well, he will pressure the lane here early on, get a bit more farm for himself, but it does allow Skeeledon to rotate early.
It looks like they were scared of the invade, and that's why Cyclone was positioning where he was. Shattered coming around the back here, forcing EnVy off of these right side buffs. This means that enemy is going to get both the right side Harpies and the Fire Elementals, which is going to put them pretty far ahead in the mid and jungle.
It will, but it wasn't shared completely there. You saw Marauder took those Elementals on his own there, so he will give him a personal lead, but at the same time, he lost a bit of experience there because he had Shattered in his lane anyway, so pretty much tied up in the solo.
Basically tied up, exactly. And we saw the kind of impact that Vamana can have in this matchup. Marauder getting those Elementals is going to put him to level 3 early. CycloneSpin taking a lot of damage, forcing to use those potions. One of the weaknesses of Vamana as a solo laner is there's no innate sustain in his kit outside of the ultimate.
Well, you saw enemy rotate from mid into the back Harpies there and steal those away from EnVy to give him a sort of edge there as well. It has allowed EnVy to pressure the mid lane though, but they will be back in time as we check out with Cyclone again. Still trying to get his health up, but Marauder's not letting that happen.
Cyclone is not going to be able to do anything in this lane. Every time he steps up, Marauder is going to be right there waiting to hit him with a Prana Onslaught, with a Root, whatever he's got available. Cyclone's going to eat it. He's not worried about clearing the wave right now, and because he gets that extra poke early on, he's going to force Vamana to use all of his pots. I mean, look, he only has 1 health potion remaining and 2 multis.
Well, 2 health and 1 multi for Marauder, but it is a health advantage overall there. The benefit you've got for Marauder here is he does have sustain in his kit as well, not including his ultimate, take that into account where Cyclone does. But the Bluestone Pendant is the big difference maker here. As Cyclone does hit 5 first, he's got to be careful about many hits, because if he hits Marauder, the minion will aggro him, and that's what's been causing him issues.
That's true, but as we get more towards the mid game, as Vamana is able to get some levels online, he clears so fast that he's really not worried. In fact, he wants to hit Marauder every chance he gets because the minions won't live long enough to make it really impact on him.
Well, Skeeledon there was over on the left-hand side looking for a bit of pressure. It's actually PainDeViande under pressure here. Going to get a good chain off into Oceans to stop him closing the gap. But don't forget the boomerangs will penetrate through if he can find it. Luckily, though, enemy will escape.
Sprint popped for nothing there. PolarBearMike thought they'd go a little bit more aggressive, but the clear just wasn't quite enough. Still a couple more minions there for Oceans. Taking a look at the Face-It player comparison, Oceans a little bit higher on the win-loss. You could see how many games PandaCat missed this split.
Yeah.
The gold per minute is very much so in Ocean's favor.
And that was more from PandaCat here, what I can tell on that is basically him transitioning back into getting into regular play again more than anything else. Wasn't the standard we expected from him when he came back, but obviously you've got to give him a bit of a benefit of the doubt. I've not played in a little while.
Exactly, and talking to those teams, looks like he's back in regular season form. Marauder forces out the big baby from CycloneSpin. Takes a little bit of damage, but that definitely favors Marauder. No Colossal Fury available for Cyclone means that he's very vulnerable to a gank from Shattered.
And when you talk about a gank from Shattered, look where Shattered is right now. Didn't even go for the blue buff, straight into the lane here. And he's going to wait for Marauder to teleport back in, but I don't think the opportunity is going to really be here as the wave was just cleared by Cyclone.
Exactly, just waiting to pick up a little bit of this farm. Now going to rotate in for the right-hand mid-Harpy. Skeeledon, on the other hand, going towards the blue buff, wants to make sure that Cyclone is getting enough of that mana sustain. Vamana, like I mentioned, doesn't have the health sustain in the kit and really needs a lot of mana to be effective. One of the weaknesses of the character.
Well, not the same speedy start coming out from enemy that we saw last time they saw that Erlang Shen play. He got a couple of kills early on that he just managed to snowball in the jungle for Shattered and the boys of enemy. This time, all patient from both teams.
Splitting the mid-Harpies there. Kiki sitting at level 7. You see Khaos also at level 7, about 100 gold up. No real lead in the solo lane either, despite the Fire Elementals going the way of Marauder early and really being the bully overall in that lane thus far. Both him and Cyclone sitting pretty even. The only level lead right now is in the jungle, Shattered up about half a level, not even on Skeeledon.
And that's just farming up a little bit of the solo lane, stealing away the back Harpies a little bit earlier on as well, and making sure he's around for all these buffs to be taken as well. Very important for your jungler, and a warrior jungler at that, to make sure he gets those levels going.
Exactly. Warriors need a lot of golden experience to be effective. They're designed to be in the solo lane where they're going to be ahead, Warriors from behind don't really feel very good. You don't do enough damage, you aren't tanky enough, you just kind of die. But Shattered knows how to play these. I mean, we saw how effective he was on this Erlang's jungle yesterday, going for the same sort of build, starting with the short bow, going directly into attack speed boots. You can see how fast his attack speed is already, sitting at 1.4.
And most of the times we've seen this Erlang Shen jungle as well, we've seen a lot of damage options going for with this warrior. Most of the time, everyone was looking at it to begin with like, it's not doing much. He's not doing it because they're always on the back foot. But when they get ahead and they've got that build, boy, oh boy, does he shred through carries.
Exactly. That one first ability just does so much to augment that player damage. Pain zoning out. No one from EnVyUs knows that this is going on. In the meantime, though, Cyclone picks up the solo kill for the first blood, but all the while, enemy's doing the Gold Fury.
Well, big play for Cyclone there. Very important from it. Up against the Ravana, the bullied him early, the Ravana that bullied him early. But meanwhile, PainDeViande taking a lot of free poke. The silence is on. And Ocean's combining with Kiki to pick up one. Into the sky, though. We will take up Shattered, who's very tanky, though, still as a warrior early game. But PolarBearMike is here.
He's going in, getting the second kill. PolarBearMike finishes off Shattered. Now Khaos forced to retreat. Ocean's made a big impact on that rotation. The dark portal opened up underneath PainDeViande, did so much damage.
These days, though, these groups that we've cast over the LAN weekends, Hunter rotations have become so vital for all teams to get involved in. The ones that rotate first are the ones that generally make the bigger impacts. And Oceans, he lost a wave of experience for that, but it was still worth.
Without a doubt, picking up 2 assists. He is down 400 gold right now to Jing, partially because of that Gold Fury and also missing a wave, like you mentioned, for that rotation. But it puts ahead his team. You see Kiki pick up a kill. PolarBearMike gets a kill, and they're all sharing that assist. Even with the Gold Fury spike, you can see in the experience in the gold, Envy starts to bring it back up towards their favor.
There's a good fight for Envy there. They couldn't get any more than that off it, though. The right-hand elementals are available here, but Marauder's going to be in position just to get them one more time for enemy, just to keep holding on. And let's not look back at that fight overall there. From your point of view, Aggro, where was the biggest telltale problem?
Everyone from enemy was just very funneled in towards that top-hand side, and no one was there with Pain to kind of support him. He was standing up in the no escape, waiting to pull everyone in, but everyone was just wailing on him during that time. Oceans in particular was really putting out a ton of damage. Kiki was able to bait himself, juke around at low health. The heals were good. Also had a good snipe onto Khaos. Tried to use a snipe there to secure the left-hand Harpies. Was a little bit late, but get some damage numbers, boosting up.
Well, we didn't see the Cyclone 1v1 where he got the first blood down to Marauder, but it was a back-and-forth extravaganza between the two. Marauder had dominance early, but Cyclone fought his way back into it now, and now he's getting some pressure from Skeeledon being here as well. It looks like a tale of trying to get the Vamana ahead that we've seen all weekend so far.
I like the idea of giving Cyclone some confidence in this lane. That's really big for him. If he can start feeling himself, start feeling like he's the best player in the world again, it's going to make a world of difference for Envy.
Well, enemy on the left-hand side, though, are going to look to steal away the red buff and get it for free. Obviously, they may have realized there that Skeeledon was on the right-hand side of the map and abused the situation.
Plus, Oceans had just backed, so using that pressure that you get from forcing the enemy hunter to back means that enemy look at the red buff. Despite that fight going in Envy's favor and being down 0 kills to 3, it's enemy with the slight gold lead right now.
Slight gold lead for now. Marauder level 11, still up against CycloneSpin, who is still level 11 after getting that first blood as well. Gold difference is actually still in Marauder's favor.
Just a little bit, still trying to keep that going on the Raven. We saw the Raven not have as much impact as the Vamana as they start to rotate into team fights in the mid game, at least in the first set. Today, we'll have to see if the trend continues here with Cyclone and Marauder. I like the pickup from Skeeledon here, going for the Hydra's Lament. Synergizes very, very well with Naja. You get a lot of free autos off. You can sash, auto, ult. It's a true combo as long as there's no other CC happening to hit the enemy with diminishing returns. It gives you that extra power from the Hydra's Lament passive, as well as, you know, popping the 2. You can really burst some people down.
A little bit worried about PainDeViande right now in this Ares. Obviously, he's not been practiced that much. They said that themselves. Second game in, he's going to have to make plays to catch up, and here's one.
Oh, just off the mark for Skeeledon. Khaos raining hell through with the taiko drums. PolarBearMike doing his best to keep everyone at bay. Skilly tried to time his ultimate to try and pick up Khaos, but Khaos went into his ultimate, but he still missed. Then he gets pulled back because he doesn't time it right, then forced to use the purification. That's a lot burned for that Ares ultimate. Good play there from Pain.
And it didn't work out in the end, though, for enemy, though. They didn't get a single kill. They split damage a little bit there as well, aggro, for the most part. We did see that it was going to be PolarBearMike was a guaranteed pull. We all knew that, but it wasn't look like they invested everything into him. They did look at Skeeledon and force him back instead.
It was just an awkward sort of situation. Like I mentioned, Skeeledon goes aggressive, and then Khaos, you know, all of a sudden you've got a Naja on your face. I got to turn to him. The call could have been to go for PolarBearMike. No shell. I feel like that was the right target to go for. Kiki able to immune it with the snipe and do a little bit of damage in return, but just kind of an awkward engagement.
Well, this is an opportunity to try and look at the speed bump, but it's actually PolarBearMike a bit of an awkward position. I think he wants to force this fight, though, with the boys of Envy. Oceans was thinking about rotating, but he's back in the duo lane now. Shatter took a lot of poke, and Mike trying to give chase with the blessing still going on. Ring toss doesn't really do enough to close the gap.
But here's a snipe perfect from Kiki. Pain's gonna fall here. Great slow coming from Skeely, bouncing the ring toss off the back minion, setting up the stun from PolarBearMike, and Kiki looking very good so far this game.
Oh, well, Ocean's still taking this trade against PandaCat after already getting chipped away on health. The ultimate gonna miss, and Panda must be really happy with this. That one-hit airstrike! Not gonna hit the mark, and now Panda has to fall back as well. He's one hit, but guess who's here? CycloneSpin has turned up, and Panda overstayed his welcome, and Cyclone will take his life.
Taking advantage of PandaCat's innately aggressive playstyle. All the while, though, on the right-hand side, Kiki looks like he might get
What a good
dove here by
rotation, though.
Marauder.
He rotated to make sure he saves the tower, but now he's under pressure by 2. Kiki left alone. The chicken will not stay tonight. I love the rotation, but he still falls down.
You still have to be worried. Kiki still popping back. I love these two teams. These are the two teams that are not scared to get in your face and yell at each other when things are going well on either side. Looks like the right-hand tower is going to be saved for now because of that rotation from Kiki, but he's got to be aware, man. You're still a very immobile chicken.
That's true. I mean, I love what CycloneSpin did there. That teleport over to the left-hand side was absolutely huge. He gets a free kill onto PandaCat, but it also makes sure Ocean stays alive. I think Panda may have considered just trading the 1-for-1 there, even going for the last hit. He could have potentially still lived off it as well if he would have done it right, but Cyclone turning up just changed the tail of the tape.
This is a Cyclone that you need to see if you're rooting for Envy. Sitting at 2-0-1 right now, near the top of the damage charts, gets that solo kill for the first blood. Cyclone's looking very good, sitting up a level right now as well.
And on top of that, look at where his build's going now as well, more than likely into a little bit more defensive route after the breastplate as well, but a bait from enemy at the Gold Fury again. Bad news is, there's a ward there.
Everyone from EnVyUs knows, and it looks like Vamana is going to be going into the Adventurer's Blade. He's got Adventurer's Blade going for the Wing Blade, but someone needs to pick up a Witchblade this game. I mean, the attack speed is going to be very important from Marauder, from PandaCat, and especially from Shatter. They've got to get something that's going to slow down the attack speed from enemy.
We'll see where they end up going with that one as well. You can see PandaCat has started things off with the Devour's Gauntlets here, getting stacks going, whereas Oceans went for the Igval. Looks like he's going for the Chins next as well, just to add to that one, as PandaCat has finished the Igval as well now. So definitely advantages for PandaCat in this lane right now, just because of the build at the moment.
He's got a lot more power available to him at this point in the game, but Oceans, I mean, with that, with those steroided autos on the one, I mean, the slow, the ultimate, you can really make a play with Izanami. That burst really can be a very big surprise, and like Ionic mentioned during the analyst desk, with how little we see this character played, that already surprising burst damage is even more so.
Well, you saw CycloneSpin proxy farming there on the right-hand side, and Shattered not going to be able to catch him. Meanwhile, Marauder returning the favor on the right-hand side himself just to make sure. So these solo laners, I think they're both trying to pre-prep for this next Gold Fury coming up, so the teleports are used for that.
Exactly. You see Cyclone already on this left side of the map looking to put pressure onto this Gold Fury. No Wraths on either side. Oh, excuse me, actually, Shatter does have the Wrath, so it's only on enemy side. So Envy needs to really be able to force him out or kill him if they want to get the goal.
Well, they're looking for aggression on the right-hand side. PainDeViande down to half health already. He's very low and already dead. Ocean's ultimate comes through big, picking him up. Khaos did use the drums of war there, but it wasn't enough. But there goes Marauder looking for a pick on Skeely. Skeely under a lot of pressure, trying to get away and forced to ult.
There's the curse, making an impact now, PolarBearMike, but Cyclone has arrived. He's coming in on the back, onto Marauder. Here comes the double sustain. Look at how quickly all of Envy is going to get healthy.
Yeah, just heal up double time because of both those healing and sustain. Now they can look to go again. Raw still has his ultimate here. Kiki has it available. They are up against a Wrath as well from Shattered, who is at full health. This is going to be an interesting one. Ocean's flanking around the right, going to meet Shattered here, and Shattered punishing him quite heavily at the moment. Ocean's missing a couple of in hands, then the taunt comes out, the Wrath too, but Shattered, he's not going to get the heal off in time.
Ocean's baiting perfectly there. Look at Kiki dancing on the bottom left. Envy is feeling themselves, and it's about time. This is the first time that Envy has looked like the team we thought they could be coming into this group.
Yeah, they had plenty of time to prep. Obviously, they were in Group D, so it gave them all those time to watch over lands, prep themselves, and get themselves ready for this land. This game is the first time they've really been in the lead in a game. It's not a substantial lead, but it is a lead.
7-1 in kills is a substantial lead in the kill column. Looks like they want to go for the Gold Fury, but Pain knows it's going on, not going to give that up for free. Blink still available. Very surprised to see Pain go Pestilence, or not go for Pestilence here. Going for the Heartward Amulet instead. Trying to make sure that his team doesn't take as much magical damage, but with the healing that is available to Envy, Pestilence needed to be picked up there.
Let's have a little look at the healing done already in this game. I know it's early on in the game, but there is multiple healers, and as you can see, between them, they've done over 5,500 between the Terra and the Raw.
That's insane. I mean, that's just so, and it's only going to get worse from here. One of these two is going to pick up a Rod of Asclepius. It should definitely be Kiki. It looks like he's already building towards it.
Yeah.
That's going to augment both his own healing and Terra's healing. We think it's bad now. It's only getting worse. You see Khaos going towards the Divine Ruin, going to try and make sure that they can shut down that healing a little bit, but that's what you see with these healing comps. Yes, you could build these Pestilences, these Divine Ruins, but Envy is just going to back up, wait for the effect to wear off, and then drop the heal.
Well, in mid lane, Kiki's cut out of position here. Very good combo onto him, forcing the Sanctuary. Drums are sounded, and the drums are going to hit home. One more hit's all it needed, but the juke boots from Kiki will get him away from one target, but not another.
Marauder comes crashing in, gets the kill. Now PolarBearMike in a tough spot, gets pinned, but Cyclone's made the rotation. Skeeledon's going to take one up into the sky, but it's not going to be quite enough.
They're not going to get the damage onto Shattered there. The juggle ult from Cyclone's going to be good for Mike to pick up a kill. It's not often you get to see Terra getting a kill. Marauder taking a lot of damage. That silence from Ocean's really hurt a lot. The boomerangs are swinging through, but he can't find home just yet. He'll get it though. Mike gets a double delayed for Terra.
When was the last time you see Terra support get a double kill? I mean, maybe EnVyUs, but they get the clean pick on Kiki early on, but Marauder uses the ult to come in, and then Cyclone comes and cleans up. Skeeledon does a great job of positioning there, gets the multiple man ring toss, takes Shattered up into the sky. PolarBearMike finishes that kill off as well. And I love the play coming out of Envy right now.
Now they're going to get a Gold Fury here as well. Cyclone on zone duty with that teleport, making sure the members of enemy mid cannot come over to contest this. Nice free Gold Fury for Envy. They extend their lead further.
Finally, they get a little bit of breathing room for this lead. They've been getting the kills, but they haven't found the gold lead until now. Sitting up 4,000 experience, 2,500 gold. CycloneSpin has been making a massive impact this game. Level 17, 2-0, and 5. I love the play coming out of Vamana.
I love the fact that Terra has 2.5k damage and is 303.
Just
that's amazing.
Kill secures, man.
Kill secures, man. That's all supports need to do. He's taking a page out of Incon's book, who's not on that book anymore as much as he used to be.
No, he put it back in the library, and PolarBearMike was browsing. And he was like, yeah, this looks good. I'll pick this up.
I rent this one for the weekend. We'll see how it goes. Well, he needed to, especially with how Envy played yesterday. This picking things up a little bit better here today overall. The gold lead isn't insurmountable for enemy, though. We know how good enemy are at playing at a disadvantage, too. They will never surrender. They will always try and defend at Phoenixes and look for a way back in. They did it against Seoul yesterday, is a prime example of that.
Very true, and the late game for enemy here is very, very strong. PandaCat on Jing. You can always trust him to have a solid late game on a carry like this Hunter. And then you've got Shattered going to be able to set up for Khaos. Raijin in the late game, we saw how much work Heroin did with it. Enemy's team comp is very strong in the late game. It's just a matter of if they're going to be able to punch through the sustain that Envy has drafted.
Well, I do like the focal change there from both teams towards the solo lane a little bit more here. They recognize with the Gold Fury down now, these tier 1 towers on the right should be the next thing to go. They're exploitable now that you don't have to have the supports camping the Gold Fury.
Exactly, and Oceans is going to be able to get some free farm though, but at the same time, Cyclone getting a little bit of pressure in this solo lane, pops the ultimate early.
And Terra's blessing is on him as well, so extra sustain if he needs it. On top of that, the rotation tier from Skeeledon, not going to hit home, unfortunately. Shatter gets his heal off, though, so he's back to full health. Enemy retreat to their own tower.
Oceans and PandaCat both rotate to the middle lane to pick up these waves. Oceans gets a little bit poked out, and he's not gone for any... Oh, no, he did go for lifesteal. Picks up the Aussie, just trying to get that extra attack speed pen and lifesteal.
Yeah, the pen as well. The ring toss comes out. Snipe doesn't hit home there from KikiSoCheeky either, so it's going to be a bit of an awkward one.
Double stun, and then the snipe was somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe Skeeledon's making the call to go for Pain there. Just a little bit of miscommunication.
Split the uprights more than anything.
As a whole, Kiki's looked really, really good this game. That's the first time that he was kind of lacking.
Well, doing a good job on this run in the mid lane here, but it's not that difficult when you've got so much sustain on your squad. You can take a little bit of poke and go again. With that sustain and a minion wave coming, enemy have to give up the tier 1 tower and maybe even lose this blue as well.
Exactly. I mean, this is what Envy want to do. They're totally fine with sticking around and taking any sort of damage you want to dish out, because you're never going to match the healing. I mean, now that Kiki has the Rod of Asclepius, gonna boost up that healing for both himself and Terra, like I mentioned earlier, and Divine Ruin's still not completed for Khaos.
And talking about Khaos, bit of a non-factor so far. 0-0-1 in this game, had one ultimate that nearly killed off Kiki, but it wasn't enough.
Very true, but he is sitting at the top of the damage chart, so even if he's not getting the last hit kills, he is making an impact with the straight up damage. Shattered rotating to the left side here, Ocean's tower under a little bit of pressure, forces out the purification for just a pin. Ocean's probably panicked a little bit there.
And that worked out very well for enemy there, taking a tower in trade with the one they lost on the right-hand side here. Puts a little bit more pressure on the Gold Fury side of the map as well, which makes it a little bit more difficult to look at defensive options to siege from.
That's exactly what you need to do, because they realize that they can't just stand around and look at Envy, because they're going to trade poke and Envy's going to heal it up. So there's no reason to even be there if Envy's going to be grouped. You may as well go make something happen on a different part of the map. That's exactly what you see Shattered and PandaCat do. PandaCat gaining pressure in that lane, opens up the tower push, Shattered comes in, it gets the purification from Oceans as well as secures the tower.
I am surprised enemy haven't found as many picks as they would have liked to in this game as well, especially knowing the comp they're against. They don't want to face off against enemy who are grouped up, because the healing is just going to be too much. They want to find picks in the early stages and try and snowball that and continue it. The problem has been they've not really managed to find any.
Not quite yet, but you see Shattered starting to get online with this build. He is 2 levels down to Skeeledon, though. Skeeledon's had a great game thus far. Looked very, very strong. Outside of that one ultimate that was a little bit too early in the mid lane to immune the Ares ult, Skeele has looked very good. Setting up for his team 1-0-5, farming very well.
Because we mentioned every member of Envy actually having a pretty solid game so far. I think Oceans was the only interesting one there. We didn't do the greatest on, you know, that 1v1 against PandaCat. Got away with it, though. That's the main thing.
Exactly. He got away with it. It was all a bait, Hindu. It wasn't even close.
Wasn't even close. He knew the teleport was coming. It was all
yeah.
good.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this next Gold Fury is going to be very close between the two teams here. Enemy definitely need this one to even things up, and Envy will definitely be looking to extend their lead here.
And the overall experience lead is definitely starting to go more and more into Envy's favor. We already mentioned the 2-level lead in the jungle, a level lead in solo. You've got a level lead in mid, and then a 2-level lead in support. It's only PandaCat who's able to stay ahead of his other counterpart.
Hey, and when PandaCat hit full build last time, you saw what he was able to do. He got that quick double kill when he got all that crit build online. Although this time round, not as much crit in this build, more focused elsewhere.
Going for the penetration, really. He's going to rely on the explosive bolts to kind of deal that big crit number.
Yeah, that's the important thing, going for the big crit number. Sometimes it can be useful, but at the same time, having the damage from the chins and the sustain from the Devour's gauntlets will really come into play.
Pain gets rooted out. PolarBearMike immunes the dash there, but Pain forced the ultimate right away.
Let's have a listen into the MV comms as they take this fight.
I'm on. Still fight.
Nice, yeah.
Go. I got it.
Yeah.
Erlang in the back. Get this block.
Careful, beat him.
I'm okay.
Nice.
We're fine over here. Back up.
Take gold.
Cycle, go push mid. I will tank. Nice.
I have a heal in 10.
I have heal in 4. Raijin
If he looks for something, just reset. We just need to heal up a bit. Let's try.
Good try. I have a heal here.
Heal in 2. We can still push right.
No.
First.
Nice job. Push mid.
Is he pushing live?
I don't care. Yeah, he was, but he's shit.
Is your TP's up, Cycle?
Can we go mid to 2? Can we go mid to 2?
Nice back up. I have both active.
Well, a great little pick there for Envy, and what do they do off that? They get the gold, they get a tier 1 tower. Now they're looking at a tier 2 aggro.
This is the problem up against healing compositions like this. I mean, you can look at the team fight recap. A lot of damage done by Envy, but it doesn't matter. A lot of damage done by enemy, but it doesn't matter for Envy because they've got so much healing. They not only get the Gold Fury, they get both towers in middle, and now this gold lead that was very, very close, all of a sudden, 7,000 damage. Look at the heals, man.
Yep.
That is insane. 12,000 healing total coming out of Envy thus far.
And the other problem I see for this is what happened with Enemy yesterday as well. Picks and bans seem to have let them down again. They let them have Terra and Ra. Can you really do that and expect to not struggle in a game?
No. I mean, with how strong both of these have been, and not unless you're going to pick something that can really shut down the healing, like a Sobek, like a Bacchus, something that's going to help you do that. Instead, the Ares picked up, just not
Well, they're looking for a pick in the jungle now onto Kiki, but Kiki, Terra's Blessing and Purification will get him away. Drums of War from Khaos, trying to zone him away. Takes a lot of poke from the sides from Oceans and the snipe too. Marauder's under a lot of pressure trying to get out, but it's Khaos, the first one to fall. Oceans closing the gap with a fade away, and the sash from Skeeledon will allow his hunter to get there.
Oceans is playing this character perfectly, man. We haven't seen it a lot, but Oceans clearly has. Picks up the damage there, able to pick off Khaos. Now Pain forced to use the ultimate, but it's just to buy himself a little bit of time. Gets that kill as well.
And now a Phoenix is going to fall. This was enemy looking for a stand at the Fire Giant, trying to make something happen, and instead they're going to lose a Phoenix.
Unbelievable. The damage, so normally Raijin ultimate, you got to worry about the big mage ults, right? But Oceans uses Dark Portal and instantly does a third of Chaos's health, basically for free. Then he just chases him down, sitting at 4-0 and 7. He's played unbelievable. I mean, we talked about the big matchup, right? Oceans versus PandaCat. Who's going to do better? PandaCat's 0-1 and 0. I mean, he has not been a factor whatsoever in this game. It's been Oceans on this off-meta Izanami making them plays.
I'd say not yet. PandaCat's not been a factor, but the way this game's going, enemy are trying to make calls to get themselves back in it, and Envy just exploiting their opportunities.
Kiki just dodges so much there. I mean, he pops Purification, the Terra ult gets him out. So many ultimates used to try and kill the enemy mid laner. He's able to get out of dodge, then turns around, hits the snipe, gets someone low, and all the while, it's Ocean just wailing on you from the front line, playing aggressive like he likes to. Top of the team on damage, even above CycloneSpin, who's had such a great game. Overall, I mean, Kiki's been the only one to get picked off, but it's not a knock on his positioning whatsoever. Up against healing compositions, especially up against Ra, you have to kill the healer. And if there's two healers, Ra's the easier one to kill, right? And he's got the stronger heal. So you want to be killing him. He's the only one to take 2 deaths, but with how much enemy have been invested in trying to kill him, those 2 deaths says a lot about Kiki's positioning and the teamwork to peel for Kiki overall.
Well, on top of that as well, I'm looking at PainDeViande here. They picked the Ares, he's 0-5-1 level, 13, 4 levels down on PolarBearMike. If he goes in, he's dead. That's basically the story right now. And I'm actually thinking enemy should probably accidentally pick things more than they actually choose to pick them.
Exactly. That should have, whatever they were thinking about picking, if it was Ares, they should have accidentally locked in someone else. That's the way it looks like right now. Just whatever Pain wants, give him something else.
And it might work out for them as well. Guan Yu was available, and it could have been an option for them. It was early in the draft, I guess, but the sustain could have come into play.
Definitely could have. PandaCat just trying to get some much-needed gold for enemy, but Cyclone looks like he does not have the teleport available, rather.
I don't think they're interested in that. I'm pretty sure they'll be happy to lose a tier 2 for a second Phoenix with the Fire Giant on their side as well. Extra sustain if they needed any more, they've got it.
They don't need it. Let me tell you, they do not need it. PolarBearMike just trying to get in here. Oceans should be focusing the Phoenix a little bit more. That's his job to take this down. Khaos goes up into the ultimate, but is gonna find nothing.
And here's the engagement. They're going all in. Khaos' ult is down. Thunder crashes away. Next up, Marauder has to ult out as well. PandaCat does get a Phoenix on the right-hand side, though, by all this, but he needs to get back here now because it looks like Envy are looking to commit.
There it is. Kiki finds Shatter. Big ultimate coming in from Pain. Pulls in a couple, but the sustain is good from the Fire Giant buff and the character. Skeeledon backs up just a little bit. Khaos and PandaCat go in deep.
Khaos goes in deep, but he has to get out again. Cyclone giving chase, and he doesn't have Thunder Crash here. Khaos, he's going to fall on the backside unless he can get to the fountain. Not this time round. The Titan is tanking up Cyclone right now. Cyclone doesn't care. Don't forget the minions get heals as well as from both these two gods.
Oceans more than willing to trade out with PandaCat. PandaCat always asks why no one's fighting with him. Well, Oceans is fighting with you now, and Envy takes the win, 18-2.
Beaten in picks and bans. That's the first thing I can really say about that. It felt like beaten in picks and bans, Terra and Raw. And then when he got into game, well, there was opportunities for enemy there, but Cyclone with that first blood kind of stole the shot.
Cyclone set the pace early with that first blood, like you mentioned. Kiki as a whole positioned very, very well. PolarBearMike's able to do the same. They just Envy team fought really well, and that's the most encouraging thing to me. You're right. I think the majority of that win comes down to picks and bans. But if I'm rooting for Envy, I'm really glad to see how well they worked together as a team.
You really, really need that one. It was very, very important for them to be able to do that one overall there. Oh, so Envy actually get a point, at least. They've tied up with enemy already before they even look at game 2.
Exactly, and then now Envy can look to really jump ahead and be the ones contending for the second spot with Denial. I mean, they didn't have the best of games against Denial earlier, but it wasn't as bad as it was up against Soar. You know what I mean? They've got a chance to go up against Denial later on in the weekend. So Envy, by no means, even if how bad they looked day 1, is not even close to being out of the race.
Well, the analysts are ready to talk you through that game. Ardanis, Atoli, and Ionic.
Atoli and Ionic. Thanks, Hindu. Thanks also SteelSeries, the official hardware sponsor of hi-rez esports. But Envy, they get a win on the board, and I think a surprising composition, the double healing and an Izanami. Ionic, what are your first thoughts on this?
I definitely think that the composition was a huge part of why Envy took home that win. I also think Raw Terra, super strong when combined together, and 2 almost top tier picks that they managed to get. Izanami wasn't so much a huge factor. I think it could have done what any hunter could have done. So you can replace Izanami with anything there, but go ahead.
So the plan also apparently wasn't for Izanami, but it got locked in anyway.
Again.
Again, I don't know if it was as similar to the accidental Ares pick. I mean, maybe this is something they practiced, but that wasn't what I talked to Bomb. Bomb's like, man, we second picked Izanami, and I have no idea why. So he wasn't really sure there.
It worked out for them. They took advantage of the immobile comp coming out of Envy, or out of Enemy rather. They had the Ares, so he was very easy target to really pick up. We saw in the mid fight where Envy got the quick 3 kills right off the bat, and that was basically their game from there on out.
Yeah, those long range routes really do a lot to hurt, like Ares, all those immobile gods, Erlang, Shen on the side of enemy. So I think really that comp, and I think it was also the mid jungle support really stepping up for Envy, and not so much the side lanes carrying them as we expect them to do.
Yeah.
But really Skeeledon, Mike, and Kiki all stepping up and playing on another level today than they did yesterday.
And that was definitely, I think, their weakness in day one. But I mean, going back to that Ares pick, you know, not only do you have the ability to heal up after or burst down the Ares with the long range poke, but I mean, Pain ults, and even if he grabbed people, what they did is they just dropped that raw heal, they dropped the Terra obelisk, they popped Terra ultimate and shell, and we saw it, you know, even at that Gold Fury fight, 2 people got pulled, like, enemy dumped their entire kits, and they're like 80% health.
Enemy needed to go a little bit more all-in against EnVyUs, and on top of this, they needed to have the anti-healing options a little bit earlier on. We saw it too late in the game. They couldn't really bounce back from there on out. And on top of this, I thought that Enemy was going to go with the strategy where they would kind of lean on the solo lane. We saw the jungle, the solo jungle was going to be very aggressive, I thought, against CycloneSpin.
But it's not, and just take a look at this, the healing numbers, 21,000. Coming out of those 2 healers in the game. I mean, it wasn't the longest game in the world. And, I mean, you can just look at the output of damage on enemy. A third of their damage basically negated.
Yeah, that's the problem with playing against a healing comp. You want to get those core items online so you can be doing the damage and getting those efficient items, but you also really need to get that anti-heal online. So once you're ahead with a healing comp, the game, it just gets extremely easy. And
then CycloneSpin 2K on him from those meditations as well. So, I mean, meditation, a big factor. I mean, it's one thing dealing with just double healing, which is frustrating enough, but then meditation on top. I mean, Envy never really seemed stressed at all in that game.
It seems that they definitely prepared with their homework. They left the Terra open. It didn't seem that Enemy respected Envy playing the Terra, and as a result, a great first important win of the day. And I can expect Envy to start using this as a little bit of momentum moving forward. If they can grab at least 3 out of 4 wins today, that puts them in a good spot in day 3.
And, I mean, talk to me about confidence and how important that is.
Yeah, talking to Envy today, they're really confident. They were like, as long as we win all our games, Soar and Denial, that's a very Soar and Denial split, that's very good for them. As long as they win all their games, they're very confident that they can go in and take the 2nd spot.
Is this, so game 2 here, double healers. Are double healers getting through?
I definitely don't expect Terra to get through. Raw, maybe, but Terra definitely not.
At least not on the same team. I don't expect Terra and Raw to be on the same team ever again.
Yeah.